We have made it to the 2024 All-Star break, so as always, we will be showing the All-Star teams, going over the team's stats, going over the standings, the league leaders, taking a look around the league, and anything else I feel it's necessary to show. So let's just not waste any time and dive straight into showing off the All-Star teams. Of course, starting off with the National League, where you'll see on the starting pitching side of things, Chris Sale and Jay Groom, both of our lefties, made the All-Star team. On the reliever side of things, Josh James has finally realized his potential and had a breakout year with the Miami Marlins, so he is a All-Star this season. Gilberto Fuentes made it as a first baseman, and then Elliot Ramos is the starting center fielder for the All-Star team on the National League side, and Lorenzo Ordonez is the starting right fielder, while Joey Gallo and Jock Peterson, most notably on our team, did not make the All-Star team. And then on the American League side of things, you've got Luis Castillo and Shaw Manaea from the Boston Red Sox rotation. They both made the team. Tim Maiza from the Oakland Athletics is the lone reliever in the American League. He has not given up a single earned run all season long so far. Gary Sanchez is the starting catcher. Ryan O'Hearn's still doing his thing with Kansas City, made it as a first baseman. Altuve and Bregman are still dominating second base and third base. Brandon Nimmo is the starting left fielder. He's probably the best player in the American League this year. Albert Almora Jr. was the only center fielder on the team, which means Mike Trout is not an All-Star in the year 2024. And now moving on to the standings throughout the league, of course, starting with the National League East, where the Phillies lead that division, but the Braves are only a game and a half behind, so that division is nowhere near settled, while the Mets are still in the race as well, but they're probably more so in the wild card hunt. In the National League Central, the Reds are currently in first place, while the Pirates are in second, 3.5 games back, but worth noting that they are currently on a 10-game win streak. They are 10-0 in their last 10, so the Pirates have been on fire, while the Brewers are still in the mix as well, but probably more so in the wild card, but they are still in the mix. The National League West, of course, we are leading the division at 63-27, 9 games in front of the Dodgers, who are now in second place, as the Padres have been slumping a bit, and they are now 12 games back in third place. But the NL West is so good that the Dodgers and Padres are currently both the number 1 and 2 wildcard teams, but the Braves are only 1 game back, Pirates only 1.5, Brewers 5.5, and the Mets are 5.5. Now moving on to the American League side of things, with the American League East, where the Red Sox have a pretty decent lead on a first place in that division. The Rays are still solid in second place, 5.5 games back, but the Yankees are actually well below 500 and 14.5 games back in third place. So the Yankees are probably not going to make the playoffs, and they are probably going to finish below 500 on the year, which is something that I have never seen in my 23 years on this planet. And something even maybe more interesting than the Yankees being below 500 is the AL Central is the Royals division now, and by a pretty good margin. They have a 10-game lead on the second place team, which is the Minnesota Twins, who are still in the wild card mix, as well as the Tigers, but the White Sox and the Indians, they pretty much stink. So none of those teams are really stand out, and the Royals are just running away with that AL Central, led by guys like their ace starter, Brad Sanchez, first baseman Ryan O'Hearn, and they also picked up Yoan Moncada in this offseason. And then in the AL West, it is led by the Oakland Athletics, who are pretty much running away with that division, as they have a stacked roster, as we showed in the preseason video for this season. They have a very good roster. It shows. The Astros are still a good team, too. They're in second place. And then if you take a look at the AL wildcard, the Rays and the Astros are the 1-2 teams, while the Twins, Angels, and Tigers are all still sort of in the mix as well for that wildcard spot. And now let's move on to taking a look at the player stats on our San Francisco Giants, of course, starting off with the bats with Connor Panis. Pan the man with the pan, has been our breakout player this year, a 1.013 OPS with 9 home runs through 123 ABs. He is now the starting first baseman against left-handed pitching, and he also gets plenty of ABs, mixing things up at corner outfield spots and also at first base against right-handed pitching as well. Then, of course, there's Gilberto Fuentes, Baez, who has continued to thrive in that leadoff spot for us, a even 1,000 OPS, 18 home runs on the year for him so far. He has gotten better and better every year he's been in the big leagues, and that just continues to be the pace that he's on. He is second in the National League in slugging percentage, and he has the 5th highest OPS in the National League as well. Lorenzo Ordonez has been incredible for us in right field, a 973 OPS, an absurd 460 OBP, which leads the National League. He also leads the NL in average. Obviously, OBP, like I said, he is 4th with 27 two-baggers, and he also leads the NL with 23 stolen bases. So Lorenzo Ordonez has truly been a very solid player for us in right field, while Jock Peterson is still Jock Peterson, a 939 OPS, 18 home runs with a break for him. Joey Gallo also, he is actually having a career year so far. He has taken a huge jump in OBP this year, 384. While he's 20 home runs with a break, he has a 929 OPS. He has the second most runs scored in the National League, and he has the 5th best WAR among qualified hitters in the National League, and yet he was snubbed from the All-Star game. While Elliot Ramos, our new center fielder this year, because he was the right fielder last year, has shifted to center field, and he is the starting center fielder in the All-Star game, a 914 OPS, 17 home runs at the break for him. Another player with a ton of pop in our lineup who walks quite a lot. Almost like this team was built around something. Then we have Javi Baez, who was in a bit of a slump before the break. His OPS is down to 791. Still above league average, but not what you want to see from Javi Baez. He has the 4th most home runs in the National League, so that is something you like to see. And I would say that he's probably going to rebound. At least I would hope he would in the second half. I would expect his season OPS, when it's all said and done for the 2024 season, to be above 800. All it's really going to take is like one solid week of performance, and he'll just boost that right up. And then Buster Posey has truly become a guy who only hits singles. He has a 307, 398, and 376 slash line, so he's getting hits and getting on base a lot. It's just he has hit exactly one. Count that, one double in 101 ABs this season as the backup catcher, so not exactly what you want to see there in the slugging percentage category, but he does get on base quite a lot, and he is an old backup catcher, so you can't really expect too much from him. He's still putting up decent numbers, while Peter Mooney has been similar to Buster Posey this year, and the slugging percentage is just not there for him. A 275, 370, 386 slugging slash line. He still has 14 doubles. He's just not hitting home runs really at all this season, and his slugging percentage has taken a dive because of that. And then we also have Joey Bart, who is having a down year with a 733 OPS as our starting catcher. Hopefully he can have a bounce-back second half, because a big part of Joey Bart's game is being able to be a good offensive catcher. And then Leonardo Rivas, who is now our backup infielder, has an 818 OPS and 73 ABs off the bench. Not too shabby of a bench option for us. We've got Derek Klauboff, who has a pretty pedestrian 751 OPS and 163 ABs. He kind of has a similar skill set to Ordonez, in just he has really good contact, he's okay in the field, and he's fast. It's just he has way worse plate skills, and he's not as high of a ceiling as Ordonez. Well, Ordonez is 26, while Klauboff is 20. It's just that Ordonez is an A potential, while Klauboff is a B. Then we've got Seth Beer, who lost his starting first base spot against left-handed pitching to Connor Panis, and he has a 669 OPS and only 71 ABs so far in the year. He's possibly a guy who could be traded at the deadline, but I will get into that a bit later on in the episode. Now taking a look on the pitching side of things for our team, Chris Sale is having yet another solid season in his career, 139 strikeouts through 122 innings pitched. He leads the National League in strikeouts, and he is currently the frontrunner for the National League Cy Young as well. Jay Groom has really broken out this year as he is shoving for us. 130 Ks through 117 and a third innings pitched. He has a sub-3 ERA and a sub-3 FIP. He has the highest WAR on the team among pitchers, which is the 3rd highest WAR in the National League at 2.9. We've also got Marco Murillo, who is listed as our 5th starter, but performance-wise, he's probably been our either 3 or 4 because our rotation has been so good this year. He's pitching much better than a 5th starter level, a 2 WAR, a sub-3 ERA, in 105 innings pitched, and that's all as a 23-year-old in his first taste at the big league level. And then, of course, you have Derek Rodriguez, who is having yet another solid season for us, but he is still degressing ratings-wise because MLB The Show. He is 5th in the National League in ERA. He has the lowest WHIP, and that does make sense as he does have a 1.71 walks per 9 so far on the season, while Dylan Bundy has not quite been what he was for us last year, but he is still a solid starter, a 4.01 ERA, 3.53 FIP, and 99 strikeouts through 83 innings pitched. Now onto the bullpen side of things, Jason Tuchman has arguably been our best reliever this year, definitely our second best reliever, if not the best. He is the most innings pitched at the bullpen, 66 strikeouts through 55 innings pitched. He has really broken out this year as what we thought he would be as a reliever for us, while Tanner Scott has also been extremely good. If Tuchman's not a number one reliever, it's definitely Tanner Scott, who has been striking out people as usual, not giving up any runs, and he is also not walking a ton of batters either, so Tanner Scott's been very good. Braylon Marquez has actually been pretty solid as a long man. He's striking out batters. He could cut down on the walks a tad bit, but he's not walking people at an absurd rate, so it's not too crazy and not really anything to really seriously worry about. Then we've also got Robert Gazelman, who has mainly been our closer on the season, who he's been good enough in that spot, nothing really too much to complain about there. Keenan Middleton has been the lone setup guy all year, so the sim has barely used him. And then Alex Claudio, despite being a mid reliever all year, the sim has also not used him much as well for whatever reason. And then we've also got J.B. Bukauskas, who is now a long man in our bullpen since returning from his fractured forearm that he suffered in his second start on the season. And then Marco Murillo took over that fifth starter spot, so Bukauskas, since he has no options and I wanted to keep him on our roster, is now a long man. He's been quite good in that role for us in his limited time there, so hopefully the second half will treat him as well, and we will be able to have another pretty solid reliever in our pen. And now the trade deadline is something that is upcoming. Obviously, we are about halfway through the month of July, so we have a few more series left in July, and that is the trade deadline. And obviously, our team is having a very good season, and while our team doesn't really have any glaring needs, we could probably still go out and get one or two pieces that could help the playoff run, and that is probably going to be the plan once the trade deadline comes around, and we still have a ton of pretty good minor league talent that we are never going to be able to use all of. We do have the ability to go out and trade for some pretty good players because of the depth in our system that I've built for the past few seasons of this franchise. Now, as you see, these guys are all listed on our trade block. Obviously, not all of these guys are going to be traded. These are just some options that I threw on the trade block just as an idea to show you in the video. Guys like Logan Webb, Sherwood Mooney, Sean Anderson, Sterling Sharp, Seth Beer, Tim Cate, as well as a few others are possibly guys who could be traded at the deadline to help improve this team and make a deep run in the playoffs. But with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the San Francisco Giants franchise. The next episode will be one game after the All-Star break, then we will show what happened at the trade deadline, and then we will show 2 games post-trade deadline, and then that'll take us into late August, so the episode after that will be the minor league update, and then after that, it'll be showing what happens in September, and then after that, we will be starting the playoffs. So I've been your host, Jerseyborn, and I am saying, a very odd weekend for me, because I was told that the Yankees were just simply incapable of winning even one single more game for the rest of the season because they did not trade the entire farm system for Robbie Ray at the deadline. Huh.